Hello everyone, my name is Paul Third, and this week I am looking at a brand new product from those lovely chaps over at Audient. We all know I have quite a good relationship with Audient. I started off with the ID14, then the ID44, and they have now released the EVO SP8, and this is also an expandable ADA converter as well. To be honest, I do think many of you will be asking one kind of very simple question, a question that I even asked myself when Audient asked me to make this video. Why would I need an external preamp and like an external ADA converter when I've already got multiple interfaces that have ADAT? Surely you could just connect a Audient ID14 Mark II to an Audient ID44 or an Audient ID22, because you've got that ADAT in and out. Interfaces do not send the internal preamp signal out via ADAT. They send the computer signal out via ADAT. Now, for anybody wanting to know how you do it, it's going to vary on every software, on every interface. As far as Audient is aware, they told me that you utilize the routing via the Q mixes, and that's how you do it. But Audient did tell me that they purposely limit the Q mixes for standalone mode to 4, because I think they said that that's kind of like the maximum. It's like 4 stereo Q mixes, and that's like the maximum that you can use in standalone mode, and after that you'll start getting audible latency. These units can do standalone, but it's just constantly a pain in the hoop, and that is where the SP8 comes into this equation to give us the best fix possible if you want to expand your audio interface. It's built from the ground up to work as an expandable unit. All the routing is done for you, which means that the 8 mic preamps / line ins, right, they are automatically routed to the ADAT out. So when you're recording in to the SP8, the direct input signal goes straight out through ADAT out into ADAT in of the interface. So that means you've got the 8 mic pre's, you've also got the 2 JFET DIs, and obviously, as everybody knows with the new EVO stuff with the EVO 16, this has the smart gain of the EVO 16. So not only do you have 8 extra preamps, you also have 8 preamps that you could use the smart gain function on, and you've also got 8 lineouts, which is great if you're wanting to do any analog inserts and use it as an A to D to A converter. Now, remember what I said earlier about standalone mode and how you couldn't make any changes? A great feature on the SP8 is its motion UI, which is basically firmware that's like baked into that unit. So everything that you could do in regards to, say, settings is done on the unit itself. And it's just like one scroll wheel, and you click it to get into your menu, and you just scroll through, scroll, click, and it's genuinely the best thing that I've seen on an expandable unit. But for me personally, one of the best features on this expandable unit is the analog output source. Now, this is a great feature as you can choose whether the line outs receive the internal analog preamp signal, which would be kind of your default, or the digital signal from ADAT in, which is coming from the interface via the computer. By setting the output source to digital, this allows you to receive up to 8 DAW audio signals at 44.1 and 48 kHz from an ID44 or an Apollo X6, which is my case, and have them routed to the corresponding line outs through the gear out to the line ins, which could then be sent ADAT out to ADAT in of the interface. And many of you may be asking, Paul, why would I get that over the other expandable interfaces on the market? Like, for example, Audient already have the ASP 880 and 800. Why would I get that over the more expensive Big Brother? First off, the SP8 is using the EVO preamps, which means that you get the smart gain. And also, the ASP 800 and 880, they have no ADAT in, so it could only be used as an A to D converter, not ADA. So you couldn't really use analog gear in the same way that you could do with the SP8. There is also no motion UI on the ASP range. That means that you cannot benefit from the auto sample rate function of the SP8, which is a great feature, which means that as soon as you've got it connected to any interface via ADAT in and out, the sample rate will be auto detected, which is a great feature because it's just those little things that make it easier for you. So you can genuinely just plug in and away you go. And there also is quite the price difference with the ASP800 coming in at $599, the 880 coming in at $850. Now, the reason that's more expensive is because that's got saturation and EQ on every single channel, where the 800 only has it on 2. Unbelievably, would you believe this? The SP8 is £399. £200 less expensive than the ASP800. But what about the geeky stuff, Paul, right? You do all the geeky stuff. Yes, I know. I do the geeky stuff, and I've tried to do as much geeky stuff as I could, right? So let's get into a little kind of bit of the specky geeky stuff, and I've tried to test it as good as I can using the hardware mode of plugindoctor, which isn't, I don't know if I could completely 100% rely on it, but it's still a decent test. And I've ran a physical printed sweep in the DAW just to kind of double check some of the things that I read in the manual. This is a test that I did running a sweep, so a minus 18 dBFS sweep through the line out of the SP8 to the line in, right? So it's a loop. And as you can see here, I've purposely changed the color grading so you can actually see the harmonics. That doesn't mean that they're audible, right? So as you can see by the color grading, we're looking at minus 18 dBFS input signal. You're looking at about minus 115 to minus 120 dBFS, right, in regards to the THD. That's inaudible, right? That is inaudible. And if we hit it a little bit harder, we'll use plugindoctor this time. This is the hardware mode. Now, due to the constraints of Doctor, the ADAT won't work. So I've had to go the line out of the X6 to the input of the SP8. So as you can see, minus 12 dBFS in Doctor. That is giving us THD levels of about minus 110 dB full scale, which again is fine, right? Inaudible. However, running at hot, minus 6 dBFS. And this is where we kind of got a little bit borderline, right? So minus 100 dB full scale. As you can see, it's really like a second order harmonic that's creeping in there. However, minus 100 dB full scale is still inaudible. It's not as good as, say, an Apollo X6. As you can see, this is at minus 6 dBFS, line out of X6 to line in of X6, and it's a minus 130, around minus 130 dB full scale of harmonics. It's extremely, extremely low. And also by using the fundamental sweep, which caters for any non-linearities, as you can see, the linear frequency response of the Apollo X6, there is only a 0.2 dB frequency variance, where with the SP8 there is a 0.3 dB frequency variance, which is absolutely fine because it still falls into the tolerances of 0.5 plus or minus. That is standard for nearly every interface that you're going to find. There is normally a frequency tolerance of 0.5 dB up or down. So it's falling into the tolerances as far as I can see, which is great. And whilst we're at it, right, I know I'm comparing the Apollo X6, which has like a dynamic range of like, I think it's 129 dB, and its noise floor and harmonic distortion is super low. Just putting it out there that with the Apollo X6, you can't bypass the preamps because the line outs and the line ins are separate from each other, and it's only got like 2 mic preamps. So obviously you're getting a cleaner signal, and obviously, you know, the Apollo X6 is £1,800. It's 4.5 times the price of that. But when you're talking 4.5 times the price, and also considering that minus 100 dB full scale of harmonic distortion is still theoretically inaudible, it's still nothing to worry about. And for the price, still great performance. However, in regards to the dynamic range of the SP8, the ADC has a dynamic range of 12.5 dBA, and the DAC has a dynamic range of 117 dBA. But to put that into context, right, of the SP8's dynamic range, the SSL2 Plus has a dynamic range of 110 to 111 dB, and the Focusrite Scarlett 8920 has a dynamic range of 108 and 110 dB. So the dynamic range of the SP8 is actually better than interfaces that are at a lower price. I normally say dynamic range over 110 is decent, it's acceptable, and you're not going to kind of run into any issues. And there you have it, right? I'll put my little... Am I done now? I think I'm done. Right, I think I'm done. I genuinely don't really think there's that much negativity I could bring into this video regarding the SP8. I know I'm sponsored and I'm paid to demonstrate it, but I've tested it as kind of as far as I could test it. Every way I had it set up, right? And again, remember I used the Apollo X6, linked it up to that. It just works flawlessly. There is a USB at the back, but that's just for firmware updates. You just switch it on, connect it. It just works. There you go. My name's Paul Third. That's as much as I could do for you today, and I'll see you again next week.